guys, this is Smithy. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is a very special one. We're going to talk about the newest Bella Beaute Bar Anti-Valentine's Day palette, and this is called Dead Roses palette. I love the theming behind this. This palette was also along with the ultraviolet palette just got released, and I bought this myself. This was not sent to me in PR. I duped the vibes of the ultraviolet palette and I got this palette just because I felt like the variety that you can get with this and the shiftiness. When I saw the swatches, my jaw was dragging on the floor. Okay, that's how beautiful it was. So let me show you the color story of this palette. It is so pretty. The pinks, the purples, the reds are absolutely beautiful. This is basically like the life cycle of a rose, from like the fresh springtime to like the dead season of the rose, and I feel like they've captured it pretty well. We're gonna do 3 looks using this palette. I do have a code with Bella Beaute Bar and it is Smithy Sony to save you 10% off. Now let me show you the swatches on the screen because they are something. They're really something. They shift like crazy. I could capture beautifully like the shifts, the dimension, everything in the sunlight, in the outside lighting, inside lighting, everything looks absolutely gorgeous. The only critique that I would say is I feel like when you see this palette, it feels like hot pinks on your face, but except these two, I feel like everything else has its own place here. I could have done with like one red shade instead of a coral and a red here, but otherwise I feel like everything else has its own place here in this palette. So it's very easy for me, because it's a magnetic palette, to shift this one of the red shades to like a neutral brown shade, because I feel like if there's a neutral brown in this palette, I would use it 20 more times, because the shifts in this multi-chrome, drool-worthy, absolutely drool-worthy. So once you've seen all the swatches on the screen, let's move on to the 3 looks that I created using this palette. So let's begin. Okay, let's begin with the first eye look. I'm so excited. This packaging, this color story is calling out to me. Okay, let's begin. I'm going to first start off with this shade, You Wish, this one. And then we'll go into this purpley shade and this deeper shade. Obviously, we're staying in the purple realm because that is what my heart longs for, waits for. Let's first prime our eyes. I'm going to my son's rehearsal, but we're going to do a dark and a dramatic eye. Who cares? I certainly do not. The only thing that I'm going to do is wear one look today. And then tomorrow I can focus on 2 different eye looks. So you can get like 3 different eye looks from this palette. So excited. Okay, so let's take You Wish. And I'm gonna just take that on the crease. And this is definitely like a transitioning shade for me. A very light, muted pink shade. And I did not set my eye primer with anything. I'm going directly with this shade, and that was Alter Ego's eye primer, if you were wondering, just like that. And then for deepening out the outer corners, I'm gonna take this shade, which is You're the Worst, this one, and then we'll blend it out with this shade, which is ABCDEFU. Okay, so let's begin. Let's take You're the Worst, which is like a deeper eggplanty purple shade. Oh, look at that. Do not underestimate a Bella Beaute Bar matte. I mean, look at that. That's stunning. I'm gonna tap off the excess. My chair is making such weird noises, so ignore that. And I'm just tapping it right now so that we can get all the pigmentation. I'm not wondering about like blending it or anything. Just want that depth right there. I'm gonna take the same shade, You're the Worst, on the outer corner of the lower lash line, just right there, just to tie in everything together. And then I'm gonna take this shade, which is Single AF, which is that maroon shade, this one, and right there on the lower lash line, tying it with that purple. That's a beautiful burgundy shade. You definitely have to use that a lot more. Just wiping the same brush, refer number 1, And I'm gonna go into that ABCDEFU shade, which is like a purple shade. Look at that, that's stunning. And I'm gonna just blend the edges of that deeper eggplanty shade. I mean, the purples in this palette obviously captured my attention. And the shimmers, I mean, if you have not seen the swatches of this palette, that will sell this out to you. It's so pretty, so shifty. If you love a shifty multi-chrome, this palette is full of that, and you can use my code SMITHYSONY to save 10% off on top of it. So just like that, I'm going back into that first brush that we used with You Wish shade, and I'm just going to melt the edges. I'm going to take NYX Glitter Glow, the NYX primer, and I'm going to just take that on the bare space of the eyelid. I'm going to take this shade As If and then go into this shade, which is Drop Dead. Drop Dead, oh my god. These shades, these multi-chromes are so smooth and so shifty. You have no idea. Just gonna place it right there in the center. And then I might have to dip into another shade just to blend both of those together. But we have tons of multi-chrome, don't you worry. That's in the dead center of the eyelid, and you can clearly see that transition of that green to a purple. So pretty, you guys. I'm gonna take that shade which is Ew, this one, and that's like a green to a purple, and I'm gonna take that on a brush just so that it's more concise in the application, and I'm just gonna tap it right on top so that it meets with that deeper eggplanty shade, just right there. Obviously you cannot see much of this shade right now, but we'll definitely play with it even more because that's a beautiful shade. And then I'm gonna go into that Drop Dead shade, which is, oh my god, it's so pretty. It's a pinky purple orange green. It's a rainbow. I'm gonna just put that right there in the beginning of the eyelid and just flicking it through and melting it with that purple multi-chrome. Oh, so stunning. I have no words. That might be the favorite shade of this palette for me. I mean, this palette has a ton of special multi-chrome shades. This is just one of them, which is so special. Really love this one. So pretty, you guys, so pretty. I'm gonna take that shade which is Be My Ex, this one, and this is more of like a peachy pink shade. Again, a beautiful, a stunning shade. I'm gonna take that right there. On the eyes, it definitely looks more pink, but in the swatch you can see that pink to a peach shift happening. That's beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to take my Milani Stay Put waterproof liner in the shade Fixed on Plums and line my waterline. I'm going to finish off this eye with some liner and mascara, and I'll get right back. And that's my first eye look. I absolutely love the way how the eye look turned out. I cannot explain, cannot tell you how beautiful this eyeshadow turned out. I cannot wait for you guys to see this in action because I cannot stop doing this motion just because I can see all the shifts, the dimension, everything that this eyeshadow is bringing on the table. And there is so much to do with this palette. I cannot wait to create more. So let's move on to the second eye look. And for the second eye look, let's go dark to light, and we're going to focus on this burgundy shade. So let's take that, and I'm going to take that on the outer corners. I do not have anything on my eyelid like an eye primer or anything, just bare eyelid, maybe a little bit of residue from the foundation, but nothing else. And I'm gonna take that same burgundy shade into the crease too, and also on the lower lash line. I'm gonna take this shade Meh, which is like a pinky shade, and I'm just gonna take that towards the inner corner of the crease and just melt everything together with that You Wish shade, just so that everything flows nicely. Going back to that single AF shade, just trying to deepen out. Let's focus on EU and Friend Zone. EU is, again, we used EU on the outer corners of the first look, but let's take that in the majority of the eyelid this time, because this can definitely be like a one and done deep smoky eye kind of look. And we're gonna take that on the entire eyelid. Oh, look at that, how beautiful that is. I love it. Love it. That can easily be like a one and done look for sure. Now, let's take the shade Friend Zone. It's a beautiful pink to a green shifting shade, blue-green, I can see. I'm gonna take it on my finger just because this seems like a flaky shade. And just with a little bit, I'm gonna focus that on the center of my eyelid. Look at that. That definitely takes like that green goldy shift on top of that shade. Now, because this is like a flaky shade, you might need a glitter glue to just make it a little bit more smooth. At least spray your brush. I'm pressing it with my fingers, but I can definitely see, like, see, look at that, like flakes falling. Look at that. Oh, that's beautiful. Going back into that EU shade and just melting the edges, just so that it flows nicely with each other, just right there. And I'm going to take that same shade, the Friend Zone shade, on a brush. That might be a little tricky. I'm going to spray my brush. I just took a little bit just for my inner corners, but this might show completely different in the inner corners. Look at that. Look how spectacular and vibrant it is. Definitely takes over that green on the eye. Oh, look at that. Oh my god. That's stunning. Stunning. Okay, I'm gonna finish off this eye with some liner and mascara. And that's my second eye look. I love how deep, smoky, and seriously, like effortless these eye looks came out to be, but it looks so dimensional on the eyes. I really, really love it. Like as soon as you see this eye look, it doesn't seem like it came from that palette, but that's how much variety you can get out of this palette. I really love it. Now let's move on to the third eye look. Okay, for the third eye look, let's go more Valentine's-y. I'm gonna take the hot pink shade and the red together. So let's see where we go with that. I'm gonna take that hot pink shade. I'm gonna take that on the inner part of the crease. Now I'm gonna take this shade, which is Love Stinks. I love the shade names. I'm gonna take that on the outer corners and then meet it with that hot pink shade. And where it is meeting together, I'm gonna take that coral shade, which is Stupid Cupid, and then just melt it down in the center, and then just actually blend the edges of that red too, just so that there's no harsh lines. I'm gonna do the same thing for that hot pink shade too. I'm gonna take that shade Meh. I'm wiping my brush in between and just going over the edges. Just right there. And then for the lower lash line, I'm gonna take this shade, which is Thank You Next. This one. And I'm gonna take that on the lower lash line. Oh, that's such a stunning purple. Such a stunning purple. I'm also gonna take a crease brush just to blend out the edges. And just to deepen out the outer corners, I'm gonna take this shade again, You're the Worst. And just deepen out the outer corners of that red. Just a tad bit. I'll go back to that red. Just to blend everything together. Just want like a depth there. But going back and forth with that purple and the red will definitely give me like a deeper maroon shade. Look at that. That's exactly what we want. Just like that. I'm going to take my NYX glitter glue and just put it right in the center of the eyelid. I'm going to go into this one, Be My Ex, this corally shade. It's like a coral, like a peachy coral gold. And that would be the majority of the eyelid. So stunning. It's like a peach gold. Oh, look at that. Look at that. So pretty. So pretty. I'm going to take my fingers again, going into this one, which is Bite Me. Such cute names. Okay, I'm going to take that on the extreme outer corners to just blend everything together with that deeper maroony shade that we created. Just right there, okay? Oh, look at that shift. So pretty. And for the inner corners, I'm going to take this shade, which is Not Yours. This one. I'm just going to take that on the inner corners. And then just going to melt it with the other shades. This definitely can take that blue route, especially with that deeper purple shade, which is You're the Worst. That and this on top would definitely create like that bluey look. But of course, we'll play with it even more. Now, once we have that, let me finish off this eye with some liner and mascara. And that's my third eye look. I really love how this turned out to do. I cannot even choose out of the three looks which one was my favorite because I love them so much. Talking about the palette, I've used everything in this palette. I really have used everything. I cannot even believe. I feel like there is repetitiveness in this palette, especially on the eyes when you're blending things. Definitely stick by my opinion about these two shades. I feel like we definitely could have had only one shade out of these two, and we could have gotten the same eye look. We also could have gotten like one of these two pinks. It still would have been the same. Rest, everything I absolutely love. So if you will see me like build your own palette with this palette, I am definitely gonna take like one of each of those pinks and reds and then build my own palette, because I feel like rest of the things definitely makes sense here. I am more into like smooth multichromes rather than these flaky multichromes, and this is the only flaky multichrome that we have in the palette. Let me give you some live swatches of this palette because I know that you guys absolutely love the live swatches. So I'm going to focus on the shimmers today because Bella Beaute Bar Mattes, you know how much I love it, and I've done like a live swatch video already as a shorts of this palette on my channel, so I'll put it in the eye cards above for you guys. Okay, let's start off with this shade, which is Friend Zone, which is the most chunky shade of the palette. It flakes out so much, and you can see it like in the finger swatch too. You can see that flakes coming through, and that's why I say it's chunky as compared to the rest of the shades that we are going to play with. But it is extremely shifty. Like on my end right now, I see blue, purple, green. Like I see pink, purple, blue, and green. And you guys see majority of that golden and the pink coming through, even blue. But look how shifty that is. Extremely shifty. Obviously, I've not applied this like on an entire eyelid. This is what I have on top of that. But if I apply this all by itself with like some pinks, I feel like I'll get more of that blue, greeny, pink texture. Oh. This is so pretty palette, such a pretty. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The next one is called Bite Me, and this is like a pink to a green shifting shade. This one, and this is like one of the smoother multichromes. As you can see that shift. So let's apply that. Stunning. It is stunning. Look at that. Look at the shift. That's crazy to me. Beautiful it is. Let's move on to the next shade. The next shade is called Be My X, which is more of that peachy pink shade with golden flecks running throughout it. This is also a little bit on the flakier side, but again, it smooths out quite a bit. Right there. Not as chunky as the Friend Zone shade. So let's swatch this. And these swatches will help you decide like how similar it is to each other or how different it is to each other. Right there. So you can see that peachy pink orange coming through. Really pretty shade again. Obviously, you've seen all of these things in action, so you know, and you can be your own judge. Let's move on to the next shade. The next shade is called Not Yours, which is like a pink base with blue particles running throughout it. This is more of like a duochrome shade, and this is quite a common duochrome. A little bit more of a flakier formula, but again, it smooths out really well on the eyes. It has that UV effect also coming throughout it. So let me show you in the swatch. There you go. You see that? Really pretty. It glows. Glows in the swatch. And see how it smoothens out so well? But again, you can clearly see that shift also. Really pretty. Now the next shade is called Ew, and Ew is that burgundy to a pink to a green to a gold shifting multichrome. It's an extremely smooth multichrome. So let me swatch that. Look how that, this is like an epitome of like a dead flower, I would say. So pretty. This is really, really pretty. Especially for a smoky eye, that'll be stunning. Look at that. Really, really pretty. I hope you can see that shift. Very, very pretty. Let's move on to the next shade. The next shade is As If, which is more of like a very similar shade to Bite Me, but this is more of a purple to a green shifting shade rather than to a pink to a green shifting shade. Look at that. Such a vibrant purple too. So pretty. Look at that. So you can see the difference now. The Bite Me shade is right there, and this is As If. Really, really pretty and very shifty. Now the last shimmer of the palette is called Drop Dead, which is the most neutral of the palette. I would say purples are neutral to me. That's why I say neutral, but it is like a purple base to a pink to an orange. It's like a fiery purple shade. That's what it is. So let me swatch this. Extremely smooth, extremely smooth. Look at that. It has purple, pink, orange, green. Really pretty. Let's swatch it here. And this has like a gray base, so it will not pop that much in a swatch, but on the eyes you could see that fieriness. And that might be the most used shade in this palette for me, because that is such a beautiful, like an elegant, muted down shade. But I love my purple, so this is right up my alley. So this is really, really pretty. You actually see like that oranginess coming more. Let me give it another swatch, just so that you can see the beautifulness of this. Because I am seeing purple. You see a lot of pinky orange. So those are the multichromes of the palette. They're extremely beautiful, extremely buttery on the eyes, and so dimensional. If you do like this palette, if you're trying to buy this palette, you can use the code SMITHYSONY to save 10% off. But that's all for today, guys. Now it's time for the outro. Now that you've seen all the swatches, I cannot tell you how much I love this palette. I really love this palette, and I love the variety that we got in this palette, because I feel like even though if you are not like a pink wearer, I still feel like the dimension is so beautiful. And the cherry on the cake is that these pans are magnetic, so you can definitely shift and customize your own side of things. If you want to see my customized palette using this palette, do let me know in the comment section below. I can definitely film it for you guys, as well as create a look using that palette. I would love to create that. Otherwise, I love everything in this palette. They performed so amazingly well. You guys let me know out of the 3 looks which one was your favorite. But that's all for today, guys. If you did like this video, you know what to do. Do give it a thumbs up, and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so that you're notified every time that I post next. I generally upload 3 videos every single week, every Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays at 9 AM Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.